Okay, so my question is, when you meet people, how do you describe yourself? What do you do? How do you?
It depends who I'm talking to, right? Because I have some credibility with having a master's degree in digital currencies. And then if they've been in the space for a while, I can talk about the DAO because everyone's heard of the DAO. I was a community organizer for the DAO. And really, I'm more proud of I'm pretty proud of that, but also like cleaning up after the DAO. I really took that head on, although it doesn't have a role really. But I just made sure that, I'm still helping people get their funds back from that crazy experience. And then, after the DAO, I've helped found the White Hat group, which, it's not like a really active thing unless all of a sudden there's a problem, and then we go to town when we can, when we hear about it in time. And then, but my real baby is Giveth. I'm helping to build this community that's trying to build the future of giving. Really, like fix a lot of issues that I think blockchain and just adding as much new technology that we have the ability to tweet Donald Trump. We should be able to talk to the people using our donations. That doesn't have anything to do with blockchain, but just taking a kind of a fresh look at how we give to each other. And so that's the one that I usually go with because that's usually what I'm talking about, right? Giveth is where I spend all of my time. But what about you? I mean, how do you introduce yourself? Right?
Oh my God! How do I introduce myself is the most hilarious thing in the world. I test people when I introduce myself.
Yeah.
So right, because I could go with writer.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like, I'm a writer. And if somebody's into that idea, because writing a book is like, my book took me 4 years. My first book took me 4 years to write. And part of it was because like I like to think about things that haven't been thought of.
Yeah.
Discover how else can we look at this when we strip away mythologies. So sometimes I describe myself as a mythology stripper. Like I help people, right? I describe myself as like somebody who helps, like I'm an unfucker. I help you unfuck your mind.
Yeah.
Um, I I sometimes describe myself. Recently, I will just throw in the word crypto. Like I'll say something blah 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 cryptocurrency. I'm a cryptocurrency advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a blockchain advocate. And then if somebody's eyes light up, so wherever their eyes light up on the conversation, wherever I can meet somebody kind of where they are, and then then if somebody just seems ultra cool, then I will, also mention that I am a tantra explorer or a tantra teacher, Teacher. But at the same time, like I don't want to be in this like I'm a teacher and you're not, like, and we are like it's just learning how to connect with people.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much. Like this is the thing. Everyone has so much going on, especially in the crypto space and in the burner space. Which we both like to hang out in both those spaces. So it's like you ask somebody, hey, who are you? It's like, well, who am I talking to? What am I thinking about right now? So we're all working on so much cool stuff.
So I have to tell you, so people ask me about you, and like I'm coaching people sometimes. I mean, I have a tiny group that I help kind of unfuck their minds, and everybody on planet Earth is fucked up about money, and they're fucked up about sex. It's the world we're in, right? So depending on where I have the most leverage, that's where I work, right? But one of the things that people have, here's a meme that is around, right? Do you understand I mean, I know you do, but I just want to clarify maybe for people listening, like, do you understand the concept of a meme?
I mean, I have the general idea, but I'd love to really dive in.
Okay, so a meme in its essence, the way I look at it is a story or an idea or a concept or a sentence or a word that has viral capability. And what I mean by viral capability in this case is the ability to go into your mind and create a new neural network or structure.
Yeah.
Okay. And humans are lazy. I mean, when I say we're lazy, I'm not speaking morally. What I'm saying is people are generally like, our brains want to do the least amount of efforting because we want to sort of save our energy, right? For whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So if you can, for example, in crypto space, like if I say blah 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 Bitcoin, they're like, oh my God, you know, I would love to, but it's so volatile, right? That's a meme.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody did the thinking, some trusted whoever, I don't even know who it would be, but somebody thought about this, and they determined X number of years ago, because I've been hearing this since 2011,
Yeah.
I've been hearing about volatility. Somebody said, oh no, I've looked at this and I've determined it's too volatile. So the meme now is it's volatile. People look at a chart and they go, oh, there's a lot of up and down, so this must be true. I don't need to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
That's a meme. It has the ability to create an idea or a network, give your brain something that your brain goes like, oh, that makes sense. And then you do not have to work on that problem anymore. It's now in a box. That's a meme. And our culture is filled with these memes. You know, like you don't have a relationship. Oh, well, you must have intimacy issues. Mm-hmm. That's a meme, right? It doesn't, like, if you really dissected it, you'd just be like, what?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of people just are not really thinking critically. They just
That's
want
it.
to throw something in there and be like, this will make me look good. You know, it's almost like from like a scared point of view. You know,
That's right.
like I'm in a conversation and I need to throw out something that will stick. You know, it's
Exactly.
like, okay, yeah, what do I have in my back pocket? All these memes, and just be like, yeah, this is truth, right? Like,
Exactly.
right?
We're in agreement.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because like Bitcoin's volatile, right? It can't be, I mean, yeah, of course it's volatile. But you know what's funny? So on the other end of that chart is a fiat currency, right? So it's like you see Bitcoin going up and down, but guess what? The US dollar is going up and down. All these fiat currencies, of course, they're not as volatile, right? But then if you look at the price of gold since Bitcoin's been around, it's going up and down. And honestly, the price of gold is staying steady. It's the US dollar's value that's going up and down, and in our economy that's going up and down. So I don't know. It's always with these charts. If you flip it around and it's like, first off, Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies volatility are going up in the up direction, right?
Correct. The general trend is one direction.
Which is, and like just ridiculously in one direction. And if you flip that chart around, maybe one Bitcoin is just one Bitcoin and the US dollar is crashing like at historic levels right now. And not just the US dollars, all fiat currencies. I mean, they've always been doing a slow crash because that's how they're designed.
That's how they're designed. That's right.
You have an organization whose job it is to make sure that your 98 cents, or sorry, that your dollar is worth 98 cents next year. I mean, that's who signed this up for that? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at. So.
Okay, so there's like 80 things to talk about in there.
Yeah,
so let's let me just back up to how, like, where are you in this space right now, right? So we're now, I would say we're in an evolution. Obviously there's something happening. Mm-hmm. Where are we and where are we going?
In crypto land, man, we are in infancy. Honestly, infancy. The way I see it, Bitcoin is this like stable, well, not stable in many ways, but like
I know what you mean.
Secure. Bitcoin is doing everything it can to take as few as risks as possible. They don't want to up their block size limit. They don't want to make any drastic changes. Even getting SegWit through, which was a clear fix that needed to happen to fix transaction malleability and these other technical issues. It took like 3 years. So they are so careful. They're playing this very stable game. And so Bitcoin hasn't changed that much. But now we're starting to see all these other currencies that are experimenting with things and playing around. We're still in like this infant playpen, right? Where people are trying to figure things out. And nothing is going to work. You know, your baby toys don't really make it past, you know, very few people are carrying their teddy bear around. You know, that happens. Yeah. But it's not very common. you got it. We're growing up, and what we have now is this really core base layer. But where we're going is second layer solutions, right? As far as in the tech world, in the technical solutions, what we have right now just doesn't scale. There isn't, people have some ideas like EOS and Steam and BitShares, the graphene, that scales pretty well, but it's not very decentralized. And of course, it's the same with Ripple and all these other things. That in Ethereum, the brain trust talks about this trilemma: decentralization, security, and scaling. Right? And to make improvements in one, you usually end up hurting the other ones. So this is where we're at. Is we are building this really solid base layer, experimenting with proof of stake and other things, and we're trying to figure out exactly how do we move to layer 2 scaling solutions, where you have multiple blockchains that are designated for one thing, and then they're using the base layer blockchain as the foundation. And we're starting to go there. You can see a lot of tokens on Ether. That's almost that's almost a different thing, but it's not even close to helping with the scaling issue. If anything, it's hurting on Ethereum. But it's when we start seeing sharding and plasma and these other systems that kind of take, like plasma especially, it takes the base blockchain and turns it into the Supreme Court. And then you have these layers of blockchain in front of it. And so it's like if you have a challenge, you don't have to take it to the Supreme Court. Not every transaction has to be this monumental event. You can have kind of like these sub chains where you do kind of trust somebody to be running this chain, or a smaller group of people to be running this chain, but you know that you can challenge them to the next chain up, which is more decentralized, which can then challenge the next chain, which then can challenge, take the appeal basically to the main chain. Right? And so there's that's one solution, and then there's sharding, which is a whole another style of a similar thing. And so like what we're working with now is just not how it's going to be. Very soon, Lightning channels from Raiden on Ethereum and the Lightning network on Bitcoin. There's going to be a lot of off-chain transactions and payment channels. The way the research is developing, it's going to be so different in 5 years, we won't even recognize it, in my opinion. So infancy, playground, we're having a lot of fun. People are starting to wake up to the fact that this is really interesting and powerful, and the herd is coming, if not starting to enter, at least in the US, and a lot of Western cultures and Asian cultures as well are just like diving in. So I don't know. I think that we're in this place where we have so much potential, and this thing, like this cryptocurrency meme, can develop in so many directions. I think it's going to develop in all of them. There's going to be the centralized coins that are nothing better than what we have already, but just like a little technical improvement to make things a little easier. And then you have the full-on, revolutionary type systems where maybe you can opt out of the current system you're in and start playing around in a new community that fulfills the same needs that governments are fulfilling right now. This technology has more potential than anything else in our world to just take over the world and change the way power structures are happening. There is a huge change in wealth. The wealth distribution is happening right now at record paces. Now, of course, we're on this crazy curve right now, and eventually it'll probably come back down. I don't know when, but either way, it's not going to come back down to too far.
Oh no, that's for sure.
We're still at the beginning of the real bubble. It's like this is a new asset class in a lot of ways, and I think people are starting to realize that. And there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of value, and the cryptocurrency space has still just a small portion of it. So I don't know where we're going to go. That's we'll see. Hopefully in good places. I know I'm trying to push it in good places.
For sure.
And I think there's I'm actually pretty optimistic, especially in the Ethereum space. There's just so many good people that got in it early, and they all kind of congregated. I mean, there's good people everywhere, but really, just the average person in the Ethereum space that was hanging out there in 2015, 2016, stellar human beings. I'm just so impressed with them, and to see that they're the ones that are starting to really influence the decentralization movement is inspiring, and it gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, I agree. There is something in the way, like I described the Ethereum community. It's a very special community because it is help oriented, and it's open and helpful, and how a lot of sharing of knowledge, sharing of information, helping, and I think that's a really important thing because using Burning Man as a metaphor, I've been going to Burning Man. I mean, I think this was like my 17th Burning Man or something, right? And it's a big influence for me. Burning Man actually helped me break the connection between happiness and money, or well-being and money, because I've been through bankruptcies, I've been through divorces, I've basically pretty much lost everything in the housing crisis, and there were moments when in the traditional system you're just like, oh my god, my value is this. I remember shaking in my bed, shivering in my bed as I'm like watching my house go away, and I'm just like, I'm a failure, going through all this stuff, right? I'm a failure, I'm this, I'm that, I've done, and of course, before everybody really knew what was going on, that's how they approached me. Mm-hmm. They were like, man, you screwed it up, you did all these things wrong, before they realized like what actually was behind the scenes. And I went to Burning Man anyway, and it was the craziest thing. I get there, now I don't have my cell phone, now I don't have people giving me feedback about worth being dollar amounts and things like that, just people sharing, giving, communicating, sharing ideas, sharing, giving, literally giving. That's the environment. Man, about a day and a half or two into that, all that financial stress and problems and worries and the future and what's going to happen was gone.
Yeah.
So being a meditator of sorts like myself, those things happen, and I'm like, oh, this must mean I am not money.
Yeah. You are not your bank account. It sounds like something from Fight Club or something, It's like, the thing is, this money stuff it is so powerful for nations and large organizations to work with each other and not have to trust each other. Right. So, like, money is such a powerful tool. It's the other side. Oh. Money is such a powerful tool, but it's not really meant for small groups of people. In the family world, like, money just gets in the way. It causes more problems than it's worth, honestly. It's so like painful for relationships. Like, if you
absolutely,
it's like the worst.
That's what destroys they're going to destroy around sex and money.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's where all the problems. You want to know what the problem is with the relationship? Sex, money, some sort of thing like that.
I mean, 99% of the time, that's the issue. But this tool is supposed to be helping us. Sex is hard. Like, you have a tough task as a tantra teacher, man. Like, that's a whole nother ballpark. But money, we don't really need money. We created money, and we can rewrite the story of money. We can change how we use it. We have an opportunity there. And this crypto space is the spot to start experimenting and trying to find, maybe we can find something that works, because Burning Man has done an incredible job at scaling this idea of a culture of giving. Now, of course, everyone just comes in with their abundance and blows it in the desert in a very inefficient way, right? So, of course, it's so easy to walk away and say, oh, it's not sustainable. But I would argue that if we somehow developed a culture of giving as indirect exchange to mediate indirect exchange, we all bring abundance to places.
Absolutely.
We're always in a place of abundance, and we can like work with each other. And it's just, we have this tool of money that facilitates a lot of it. But if we really brought that frame of mind into the normal world, I think that it could probably work. But it might need some fine tuning, and that fine tuning can happen in the crypto space. I mean, to me, it's almost like as difficult as merging Newtonian physics and quantum physics, right? But I really want to see someone develop a means of indirect exchange that can work in both worlds. The unification of those two worlds. I think that would be. I feel like we have the opportunity, and that's why I'm so excited for Decentral, my Burning Man camp. Because that's really that's what I'm trying to do with it. Yeah. I'm trying to merge those two worlds: the burner world, where they're experimenting with economics in a new way, and then the crypto world, where we're experimenting with economics in the old way, but with new tools.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Austrian economics, but there's not enough heart, and it still doesn't fix this other problem. If I have some Bitcoin and you have some Bitcoin and we have an argument, it's the same issue. It's still money can get in the way.
That's right.
But I think maybe we can make some kind of love coin or heart coin, or some kind of currency that actually works between people. I really like this idea that you could have a large group of people that are united around an industry, right? And so maybe the solution isn't just one currency, but it is built into cryptocurrencies, just the fact that you can create your own money, and then you can build that around, and your community can have its own economy that, it's not like somebody came in with a bunch of money from the outside world, so they have more power than someone else, right. Which just isn't fair. But if you start the economy fresh and say, hey, this is our currency, we're going to try to give it value, then everyone who is playing in that currency, it gets enriched together. I feel like there's some opportunity there. There's a lot of opportunity in this space.
My question is, right now, what do you think the big idea is? Like, if you were to communicate, what is the big idea of this space for you? Maybe something you would say publicly and something you feel privately. Yeah. And again, whatever level you're comfortable with, but I'm really curious, like, what the big idea is.
The big idea is decentralization, right? We all know monopolies are bad. We all, that's a clear thing. And this is across the board. And this is why I'm so glad you asked that, because honestly, there's so much crypto tribalism. There's so many people that are like, no, only Bitcoin is the one, or only Ethereum, or only Dogecoin, right? There are Dogecoin maximalists. I know it. Gary LaChance, I'm talking about you, man, right? It's like, you know Gary. It's like Doge to the moon. Doge is the future of currency. It's like, no, man. Honestly, I really think that to be all about cryptocurrency is to have a love for decentralization, and to think that there could only be one, it's just like
crazy.
Where's your head at? And this is the magic. This is the core root of this technology. The way I like to describe it is, if you think of how, at least in the States, we have a county auditor. The county auditor controls who has what piece of land. They have a ledger, and they say, this house is owned by this guy, this building's owned by this guy, right? And they have, to maintain that ledger, we used to require that there be one person that has a right access. But now with Bitcoin, it works the same way as this land title registration, right? When you send someone Bitcoin, you're not sending them anything.
Exactly.
Right? When you really look at it, you're actually just changing who owns it. You have title to Bitcoin that is sitting on the blockchain, and you're changing the title to somebody else. And you use cryptography to maintain your identity as that address. And that's how Bitcoin works. And what the magic is now, instead of having a single central point of a central monopoly over who has right access to the single source of truth, you have selective right access to the part that you are able to influence. And that's so much better. It's amazing. It sounds like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. Like now I can sell a house to somebody without having to bribe the county auditor, and pay the fee. But it gets so much bigger, because when you have that central point, that you end up having a whole ecosystem that is built around that central point.
Protect that central point.
Yeah, because it gets entrenched. People get built there. But also, if you're buddy with the county auditor, then what do you know? You have an advantage in that system. Whereas with Bitcoin and digital currencies, there's no one who has a real advantage. There's the devs who know the code better than anyone else, but the code can't change. Like, it can be upgraded and it can get better, and there is some advantage there. But in the end, the code is stuck there. And the real magic of blockchain technology is forks, right? Everyone is so afraid of forks because it confronts them with this fear that maybe, the one that I'm counting on isn't going to be the one anymore. It's like decentralization, man. This is what we're going for. Good. You shouldn't depend on that one. We just need, yes, it's amazing. We have a single source of truth for this thing and for that thing. But having another fork doesn't make your original chain any worse. It actually provides value. It fulfills a market need. If people feel that they're not getting what they want out of your community, because all of these cryptocurrencies are community coins, just like all currency is about the community that's underneath it. It's a tool for the people that use it. It's just an idea, right? And so if there's a bunch of people that are using this tool and they don't like how it works, then there's a market need. And in basic economics, if you fulfill a market need, you are creating value, right? And if you really extrapolate it, you're raising the standard of living.
Correct.
So you're creating a common good. All of these blockchains are common goods. And so when you fork something and a lot of people love it, every fork so far, every big fork has only, in like the month's time, it's only raised the value of the currency, the net value of the holders. And we saw that in ETC. Everyone thought, oh, okay, now Ether's going to go down and ETC is going to take some of its value. But no, Ether basically stayed the same, and then value came out of nothing for ETC. And then when we saw Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin was on this rise, and Bitcoin Cash came out, had a quick dip, and then boom. What do you know? Everybody is like winning because the Bitcoin Cash guys got their big block that they've wanted for years, and the Bitcoiners got finally, like, the civil war was over, right? Finally, they could just all say, yes, we're trying to create a store of value. And that's what Bitcoin is. We're going to scale with layer 2 solutions, and we're going to be ultra paranoid about any improvements to the protocol that don't just bring us to the layer 2 solution, which is a great design choice. And I think it's better for the world this way, because now a Bitcoin transaction is $20 a pop, and that leaves a lot of space open for people that actually want to use this currency as something else.
Currency.
Yeah, as a currency. So this means that now Bitcoin Cash is on the rise, Dash, Ether, Monero, which is incredible technology, Zcash, also incredible technology, all the Ether tokens, Digix DAO, like all these guys that are like, no, we want to be a currency and a store of value. They have space to play, because before Bitcoin really monopolized the market. And now there's a lot of space out there, because who wants to pay $20 a transaction? I actually live off crypto. I can't, in my right mind, pay $20 to buy something, right? Just for the honor.
For the right to buy it, yeah.
I want to use Bitcoin, so I'm going to pay a large transaction fee. That doesn't make any sense. I actually tried to buy a BitPay card. I wanted to sign up for a BitPay card. My girlfriend Ariel and I were trying to figure out how to spend crypto more effectively. And of course, they have these magical credit cards where you can spend it everywhere. And to buy the card, it had a $10 fee in Bitcoin. To pay that $10 fee, I had to pay $20 in transaction fee. Now, honestly, if the fee were just $30, I would have been fine. I would have just paid it. Wouldn't have been a big deal, right? But the psychology of trying to pay $10 and then having a $20 fee for the option to use that currency, I don't have a BitPay card. I couldn't overcome that. I couldn't overcome that meme, or whatever. It's not really a meme, but you know what I mean? It's just too hard.
But that's an emotion. I mean, that's an
Yeah.
emotion that we have with money. But that's the beautiful thing that you just said, Griff. Like you just helped me understand something, which is there are two pieces which I want to reiterate real quick. Is number one is the sort of retitling of my piece of the blockchain. We're not actually moving stuff. We're just pointing like this is your section that you now have ownership of. And the second idea is that we can, I've heard this before, but you just stripped off the Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just a community. They're all communities. We get to, this is one of the things that excites me about this community is we get to vote with our value. We get to determine. We just go like, so yes, let's stop the tribalism, which is insane. It's what people do. They get fanatical. But thinking that there's a right way or one true way is ridiculous, because why can't there be really truly an infinite number of solutions? I mean, it's a living, breathing thing. There are things, I tell people about this all the time. There are things that we can't even think about thinking about yet, because we don't have the framework to even get to that point, but that will be common language in 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, you always say the monkey mind, that drunken monkey in your head. And it really is like this tribalism is just that drunken monkey.
It's the drunken monkey, man.
Yeah.
Tribalism is like, rah, Bitcoin, rah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, whoa, man, cut down on the beer, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so easy to do. You see it with sports, you see it with everything. And I don't know if you've ever been to India. Like,
oh, God.
Of course
dude.
you have. Yeah. And like you see people's faces everyone's looking for a guru, the leader of their tribe. And maybe this technology can help us overcome that monkey mind. Maybe this is an opportunity to actually have humanity evolve a little bit. When we see, oh, look, it doesn't matter. All these tribes can actually work together. This could be the key to world peace. Maybe that's stretching it, but we're pushing that way.
We could put, I mean, it is really paradoxical in the time that we're in to be as optimistic as we are. Yeah. Because there's so many, threats, literally threats to human existence, right? That and probably a bunch of them we don't even fully know. But the point being, sometimes those stressors are the very thing that make us have to create the new thing that didn't yet exist to solve that problem. And when I look at, I think here's the struggle I see the world really grappling with, right? So we believe that there's a right way and a wrong way. And because we have emotions about that, we feel emotionally strong about the right way or the wrong way. And many people have not traveled the world. So their frame is fairly tight, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get a crypto or a football team or a whatever. So that's the tribalism. But there is this other interesting thing that I could see happening, which you just really flipped me on, which is if we begin to value not the tribalism aspect, but rather the community voice aspect. In other words, we can live, because I think in this sense we're very like, you and I are aligned. Like, I'm like, how can we add value in the world? Yeah. It's an abundant world. I do not even live in scarcity abundant. I mean, I'm just like, there's no scarcity necessary in the planet as we're living right now. We will be able to solve we could solve food problems, but people are in the I need mine. We've got to I need this. I've got to protect these things.
No, I mean, we're in this psychological paradigm of I want this, and then when you get it, you want more. Like, exactly. Human wants are unlimited. And so if somebody from 300 years ago got to see what we're living like,
oh my God.
I mean, they would just be incredible. Everybody's a king. Everybody's a king. You have the answer to every question you could ever ask in your pocket. You can just talk to it and it'll tell. I mean, this is like sci-fi stuff from even just 30 years ago. I mean, the abundance that we have, the power that every individual has is growing at, I mean, it's like the crypto charts.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, individual empowerment is just on the rise. And we don't even know what to do with it because we forget that we have this psychology. I mean, I feel like it's such an important piece. Human wants are unlimited. Everyone is always worried about, oh man, like AI and this technology, it's going to get rid of all the jobs, and then, you know, everyone's going to be poor, and we better have all these things because no one will be able to work. And it's like, no, actually, that's just not true. We have rapid technological growth, raising the standard of living for the world. And when technology takes away jobs, there's an inherent need of purpose. There's
purpose, creativity, meaning, direction.
Yeah, people need to do stuff, and they always want more. You have everything you want. You don't just sit around and be like, "Yep, I'm going to sip margaritas on the beach for 40 years." No, of course not. You need purpose, and you create purpose for your life. And how can I make what I have even better? Yes. You know, and I feel like that's what's gotten this like kind of thing, this little piece of humanity. This is what's brought us to be effectively the alpha creatures on this planet. But we still have to be aware of it. We have to actually look at it and analyze it and realize this is part of us, because we have so much, and yet we always think we have so little.
I know.
It's just crazy.
And the bar moves.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a feeling, man.
Yeah, well, I mentioned AI. I'm really curious because you're working on a crazy project, man.
Yeah.
Like way outside of my realm of understanding. I have a decent background in crypto, you know, and we both have the burner connection. But this AI piece, like, I don't even know what AI means. Like, can you explain this a little bit?
Oh, that's so good. Oh my God, that's such a fun question. I'm not sure that people who I think AI is a coined name idea, so we don't actually have to critically think. So basically what AI, I think, conceptually is kind of like, it either means for people sort of in the, you know, it means like robots, or it means like, you know, what do you call it, Terminator, right? It kind of has that, like these things that, in fact, when I listen to people with their fears about AI, it's that the smarter thing takes over the stupider stuff.
Yeah, and, well, that's what we do, right?
Yeah, so, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what would I do if I were AI? I'd kill all the humans and take everything they have. You know, right. I mean, that sure seems like human history, at least.
Yeah.
And if we're creating, maybe they will be like us. I don't think this.
Here's the thing. I feel like, so when I think of AI, I think we are AI. Okay? As a baseline. I'm going deep here. But I'm just saying, we're AI. We're an evolutionary artificial intelligence. Obviously, it's artificial because nothing else is doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. My cat isn't contemplating existence. My cat's hanging out. It's like, hey man, when's playtime and when's the food?
Yeah.
You know, and rub my belly and I want some suckles. You know, I get it, right? Because it's like, we created all this. We artificially, intelligently created miserable lives for ourselves.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, right? We created essentially, we have imprisoned ourselves. We put ourselves in these little zoos, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And it's an artificial intelligence because the intelligence of the planet is not doing what we're doing. So when I think of AI, it's like the delusion that it's something other than what we are. So there is consciousness and there's an intelligence that thing forms into that we kind of are. Mm-hmm. And then we're just taking that and putting that into a silicone brain, in something that will be capable of sort of thinking, parsing data, massive data, much faster than we are. Okay? Which means like that's going to be an edge, right? Because it's just like this stuff that we have already parsed out to phones and we're just going to be able to parse out a lot more of that. Okay, so that kind of artificial intelligence, which will be at first, as it is right now, kind of an addendum to us, it'll be an extension of us. So my computer is, I heard Vitalik say this, I think he was talking about privacy, and he was like, hey, our phones and our computers should just be considered an extension of our brain. And I kind of agree with that because it's such an inherent part of our awareness now. Like, people are always like, oh, we're losing our humanity in our phones. No, it's an externalized thing. People were always doing that. Mm-hmm. It's just you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
It's not like they weren't having a conversation with you and like everybody 20 years ago was so present. Yeah. They weren't, man. Yeah. They were just like, oh yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. It's
like a soundboard. You can kind of like bounce something off of it, like have your own concept. So when you're daydreaming, you're having a conversation with someone, you're daydreaming a little bit, and it's like, what was that?
Yeah, exactly. It was happening internally. Mm-hmm. So these tools are being externalized.
Which might be a good thing. Now you can see when you're not being paid attention to.
Right. And it is a good thing because what it's doing, and this is where I'm going with what I see AI, big picture. AI, we're being able to lay off all kinds of tedious stuff, which humans are actually not really good at, and we're not really designed to do. You want to see people in their happy space. Forget about monetizing. You take away the need to monetize, which is like the biggest disease to creativity. You take all that away. Crypto is giving us that opportunity. You take the pressure of values being created fast. So all of a sudden, you're not spending time worrying about like, how am I going to pay the mortgage? And maybe we might even eventually do away with all of those stressor systems. We put all of the tedious stuff off to things which don't really, they're happy places crunching those numbers. They're just like, sure, whatever, big data, sure, patterns, yeah, happy.
Yeah.
So that we can spend time in our happy place, which is creating. Mm-hmm. Creating something new, thinking, expanding. I tell people the most, people who focus on work, and they're like, I gotta work, and I gotta work hard, and I gotta do this thing, and I gotta do right? Yeah. This is a meme.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell people, and this is not arguable, that by far, hands down, the most important financial conversation that I had in my life happened 13 days into Burning Man while I spoke to a half-naked Santa.
Yeah.
Okay? I was speaking to the naked Santa and had a 20-minute conversation after not doing anything productive for 14 days.
Yeah.
That was the most directly made a difference. So do not tell me work. Right, work hard. I spent 30 years in the film industry working hard. And it got me a big freaking goose egg. It got me a stress condition, and I lost all my hair. Right? It did not bring me anything other than that. Lots of stress, couldn't have relationships, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And, in the crypto space, everyone works really hard, and they get rewarded way too much, honestly, for how hard they work. But it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
You just get sucked in. You just feel like, there's some people that it looks like a gambling addiction, right? But then there's other people that they have all the money in the world. They don't need to work anymore. They're putting in 80-hour weeks because they feel like they're part of a revolution because they're creating, they're building something, and there's no one else that can do it. Right? There's such a limited supply of people who really understand what's going on in this space and the opportunity that it's presenting and the opportunity for good for humanity it's presenting. I feel like, especially in Ethereum, and don't get me wrong, every space has it. I mean, I see the same gleam in a lot of people's eyes in Zcash and Monero. The people that are really pushing the forefront of a piece. In Ethereum, we just have more flexible protocol, so you can find which direction you want. You found AI, right? And so you can push that. I found decentralizing charity, and so I can push that, and everyone can find what they're like really excited about doing and push that there.
The beautiful thing about this space, you were just saying, like the beautiful thing about this space is we are creating it. We are involved in the creation of this new thing, and nobody really knows. Right? That's what's so exciting, and that is exactly how I'm looking at AI. I found, like you did, I found my thing. I had always been thinking like the platform was a book because I was a writer, or it was internet marketing or some stupid thing that, I was going to do classes and, all of this stuff. And it turns out it's a freaking blockchain that I was waiting for. That is the platform that I was looking for as a way, as a baseline, as a building block. AI isn't there yet. Blockchain isn't there yet. We're still in the, right? But these two things are meeting. They will meet. They need to meet. They will ultimately be interfacing quite a bit. And I was like, oh my God, this is the platform. This is it. Why? Blockchain, infinite, right? Value creation, infinite, literally creating value. AI, as we were speaking, right? AI, I can't even think of the things, like we can't even conceive of where AI is going to be, but I do know that we need time, space, bandwidth. We need to get into the nitty-gritty of how things think. Because if we use the human model of thinking, this is what wakes me up in the morning. This is why, it is very common for me to go to sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, and have a host of ideas and things that I'm working on, go back to sleep, cat nap, do whatever. Because we're fired up about participating in an idea. So it turns out blockchain is the value creation that we needed, right? To create, to give us a space to have ample runway and bandwidth to think thoughts that haven't been thought, to commune in ways, to share ideas without the pressure of the finances, without like, well, what kind of art are you going to be? What kind of thing are you doing? Yeah. We don't believe in this kind of thinking. The future will not be created by restriction. It will be created through the ability to think not even outside the box, but beyond even the idea of a box. Right? And this is what people are grappling with. This is the old school, which is, I've got my coconuts and I need to keep mine. And if I have a coconut, if you take a coconut, I've lost coconut. Right? This is the world we're living in. It's not reality. It is. That's not to say, by the way, that is not to say that there are not parts of the world that are still stuck, because that's that's how we're living. But crypto is changing that. AI will change that. Because what it's going to do is it's going to go and do the mundane thinking, the mundane jobs, robotics, AI, driving. AI is going to take over driving. It's going to wipe out 1 million, 2 million, 3 million jobs within 5 to 10 years. Gone. Just shoop.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, does that mean those people sit there and they go like, okay, well, like you said, how many margaritas on the beach are you going to drink? Yeah. Like we have this. A meme is the idea of retirement. I'm just going to work real hard so I can one day...
No, man. Retirement is death.
Retirement is death.
That's it.
Exactly.
Like, why would you want to retire? There's too much fun to be had.
Come much fun to be had.
Build.
We can build, we can create, we can connect.
Yeah.
And that is how we need to be spending our time and our energy. And that is why we can't even conceive of how beautiful, as dark as some people feel about the planet, the other side of that is I'm just like, we are one breath away from having an entirely new existence where people are not worried about money and value, and they're creating because they want to create. And those 80-hour days are not work. It's just, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I'm just creating.
I mean, that's how everyone in the crypto space feels right
That's
now.
how I feel.
I know, I'm pretty sure everyone in the AI space feels that way too.
Absolutely.
I feel like these two spaces are just playgrounds. You know, they're just giant technological playgrounds that everyone, like you said, there's no boundaries. There's no one saying you can only use AI for this or that. There's no restrictions. It's really, really free. If you have the playground equipment, then you can go wild. Go. You know, you can go slide down head first. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You get to decide.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're both such power. There's powerhouses behind that. And the smartest people. At least, see, I don't know the AI space, but man, in the crypto space,
the smartest people on the planet.
And nice guys.
Nice, interesting.
Yeah.
That's what's blowing me away about this right now. AI is a little bit more academic, at least in its source, right? So I'm trying to bring the wild man to that space, because we need to, like, seriously, the direction that I see AI going right now, I'm like, oh no. Because what we're doing is, do you remember when computers first came out? They were very biblical. I'm not talking about the first. I'm talking about like when PCs, you start working with PCs, right? You know, early versions of this thing, they were biblical in nature, right? They were very rules and laws. You make a mistake, that thing punishes you, beeps at you. Oh, you didn't do that thing, you didn't say that, boom, gone. You know, it was very like, you know, I caught you picking up sticks on Saturday, boom.
Yeah.
You know, those were the early days, like where you would do a document, and you know, I remember accidentally hitting a keystroke on the computer, and the entire thing that I was working on just gone.
Yeah.
It was like, hey.
Yeah, oops.
Sorry.
No Control Z.
Exactly. Stuff like that. Right. Now, but all of that has grown and evolved. But AI, right now, is headed in that direction in its early versions. It's very, you know,
punishment-based.
Punishment, reward-based, you know, lots of rules and laws. And I think that is the problem when you're dealing in binaries, when you're dealing in programming languages, because everything is rules-based. So where are you getting those rules? What's helping you even determine what a rule is? What happens when a rule is broken? Right? What is the thing? And you know, I'm getting really weird here, but parking tickets. Right? Parking tickets are a perfect metaphor for a rules and laws structured system. Because, you know, oh, you didn't get your meter in, you missed it by a minute, $60.
Yeah.
Right? There's your call. Oh, you didn't read the sign correctly?
Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah.
That's where all this stuff is going if we don't step back and start to say, like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are we living in a world where when somebody, quote unquote, makes a mistake, there is a punishment or a blame or a shaming?
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. If there's, I mean, it sounds like you're trying to say, hey, AI needs a little creativity behind it.
Yes.
You know, it needs some like an insight. And isn't that going to bring us that Terminator? You know, isn't there more safety and security in a predictable AI that you can say, hey, like, if it has this input, it has that output, where it's not fuzzy?
Right. Well, let me ask you a different question. Wouldn't we be a lot safer with a crypto that has a predictable outcome?
No, yeah. I wouldn't say that.
There's no universe, right? But that's what the meme is telling you.
Well, so, I mean, in crypto, you want a predictable supply, but you don't necessarily, you want a predictable, you want to know the game that you're walking into, right? But you don't necessarily want the developers to be limited in scope on what they can create.
Of course not.
But you do, you know, there is a convenience to having a predictable money supply, a predictable, like, what is going to happen. Although, honestly, that's not how blockchain works at all. It's all probabilities. It's all, you have, you know, the average block time is going to be 10 minutes, but maybe you don't get a block for an hour, and that's just how it is.
That's how it is, right? And what I'm saying to you is that maybe the innovations are going to be way outside of what we already know, right? Even in crypto, like, I mean, that's the thing. Our thinking is very binary in its structure. It's very good, bad, right, wrong, plus, minus, but our thinking needs to shift. It does need to shift. We need to be able to spend more time in the gray, right? And I think that's the gray area is the the creative universe.
Oh yeah.
Right. The gray area, the unknown.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm excited about. Like, I'm not afraid. I don't want to live in there's like people who go, oh, I'm too afraid to take $100 and throw into crypto land. That's insane.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's just like it's almost like buying into conspiracy theory.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
It's changing your frame of perspective. It's so easy to just say, no, I haven't bought in for a long time. I already made a decision. Why change it?
That's
Life is good. It's fear of the unknown.
That's
you
right.
know? Even though, of course, throw a couple $100 in, and because I feel like this technology is something to support. It's
of course
it's a new way, and the best way to get in to understand any of it is
get in the game.
Invest.
Got to get in.
This is a major piece of Giveth, honestly, that I want. It's like I'm sure I could find some crypto guys to like fund all the projects.
Absolutely.
Find one person to fund some major charity project, another person, but communities solve problems, and when someone invests with a little bit of their money, they actually also invest emotionally, and they start to become more interested in the topic. And it's the same with crypto. If you want your dad to know, give him some. That's right. Right? Get him in. Show him how to make it work. You have to invest the time and it's not just a one-time investment. They're going to come back, ask you questions. But if you want to get somebody in on this magical money, you have to get them in. I've been giving my brothers and sisters crypto. I've been trying for a long time to give them as much crypto as I can for birthday and Christmas and these kinds of things. And now it's ridiculous, right? Now they have more money than they would make in a year off of a couple $100. Yep. Here and there for Christmas and birthdays.
That is the part that people just don't even understand.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's what I've been doing the same thing. I'm like, hey, check this out. Here's a couple things. Start here.
But you know what's funny? Even just having this conversation, it's like, oh, should I have been saying that? Does that mean that, oh, we're talking about money? Is this going to make people uncomfortable? That, oh, hey, like, I gave them a couple $100 and now they're making more. They had more than they could have made in a year because of a couple $100. Like, instantly, I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, oh man, people are going to be like, feel bad because I said this. They're going to start to think bad of me because they think bad of themselves. They didn't get in early. I mean, this is how fucked up money is, okay? It's like this, just bringing up something that happened can bring all this emotional baggage up into people's heads.
That's right.
And so that it affects people that they don't even want to say it. They don't even want to talk about how much money you have or whatever, especially in crypto land, because it's not like we earned it, right? It's just literally we were there and we had some crypto. And now, I mean, if you had $10,000 of Ether in January, now we're in December, you're a millionaire. How ridiculous is that? There's no investment in the world that can match that.
Right.
And I don't know if it's going to keep going. Maybe if you had $1 million in crypto, in Ether right now, you'll have $10,000 next year. Okay? Like, that's totally possible. I don't think it's likely, honestly, but it's totally possible. And so, it always brings my attention to how messed up our monetary system is and how for humans it's just not working anymore. It's got us so far, but now we're in a place where we can really make a change in it. And we have the tools to experiment. We have the freedom to experiment. We have the ease. Anyone can get in on this. Like, I don't know how to code. I was a chemical engineer. Now I'm creating currency. Yeah. I've created hundreds of currencies. Most of them, of course, are nothing. right? Nothing. Test currencies on testnet or just something I would do for myself. But some of them are $1 million currencies, hundreds of millions of dollars, because we created this mini-me token contract with Jordi, who's the white hat hacker, freedom fighter in Catalonia, right? And the DAO tokens and all these things. I'm not a dev. I write comments. I can read the code. Because I write so many comments, I end up looking like a dev on GitHub, right? But you don't need to. Are you a dev? Do you know? Are you starting your own currency?
Yes.
How incredible is that?
It's a miracle, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
It's a currency that will change the world too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
And other people can change the world too.
That's right.
Other people can start their own currency.
Yeah.
And build their own build their own industry and build their own community. Yeah.
Here's the key. There's 3 takeaways I want people to get. Number 1, it's community. I can't explain it, but you basically helped me strip even the like, I realized Bitcoin had become a thing, and really it's just a community. It's a community with value invested. And there will be lots of communities working together to solve problems, challenges, things that we have ahead. And that is that. The purpose of whatever, the token, the idea, the Dash, the Zcash, the Monero, Pivx, all these crazy, right? They're just little communities, right? And you could say like, oh, I believe in this community. Great. Put your time and energy there. Mm-hmm. And the challenge we have, and this is what you were alluding to, is when you speak of dollars, you're bringing the history of oppression and suppression and, colonialism and, it just goes on and on and on. Dollars are coming with lots of baggage. Dollars are what create rifts in relationships. Dollars. And they're not even really a thing. Right? But they're an idea. They're a very powerful thing that we believe in. Our job, our field, part of our work, right, is to say, hey, that whole thing, that's not any more real than a Bitcoin is real. It's not any more, because ultimately, if you strip the dollar symbol away, right, this piece of paper, you strip that back, its value is nothing. Right? Where is the value? The value is in the freaking code. It's just a centralized code. Mm-hmm. So I try to explain this to people. I'm like, you think like you believe in this dollar and we could have people fighting, killing themselves over a piece of paper. But that's just a magic trick.
Yeah, it's a social code. It's a social code.
That's right.
You have this abstract idea laying over the top of pieces of paper, and that they're just pieces of paper. I mean, it's amazing. And yet everyone in the world does things they don't want to do every day.
That paper.
Every day for a piece of paper. Yeah. It's just a piece of paper, man. I can print out a piece of paper, write USD on it.
Exactly.
That piece of paper would be better than $1.
That's
because
right.
No one would do something they don't want to do for it, right? Like, how silly is that?
That is what I'm talking about. Yeah. See, paradigm shift, right? Boom! Because people are like, what? I'm working for paper? What? Yes.
Yeah. For paper. It's not even paper. It's numbers in some rich dude's account, in his database that he's keeping track of. And guess what? That guy, the banker guy, he can just type numbers in. He can just type it in. And he does.
What they do.
That's how it's created. They literally just type it in the computer and they're like, yeah, guess what? You get a house, and I'm just going to type it in.
That's right.
Here's $300,000, and you can do that in. Stays in my bank account. But I'm not going to type money into my computer for you.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It is.
What a ridiculous system.
Ridiculous.
And when you sit when there's one monetary system, when there's one money, then the people who sit near the well, right, get more water.
That's right.
Right? And it's the same thing with the monetary system. The bankers, the financiers, the lawyers, the people who are near the well, they're near the bank where money is created. What do you know? They get a whole lot more of it, right? And if you have to truck that money down through a couple things, then it's really hard to get a piece of the action. So Yeah, and the U.S. dollar seems to be the Federal Reserve, like the Federal Reserve, the actual reserve currency of value in this world. All the other currencies are tanking like way more than that, and so now everyone in the U.S. gets rich, is more wealthy than the rest of the world. I mean, there's a lot of factors going on, but to see what's happening with the euro, right? I mean, I remember the euro was 2-1. Then it got to 1.08, right? Talk about a value extraction, right? I mean, anyone who has euro in their bank account, they're working really hard, they're saving money. It's worth half as much as it used to be compared to the USD.
That's right.
Which is worth, which there's a whole, like, one of the most powerful organizations in the world's job is to make that currency less
That's
next
value.
year.
That's right.
Right? Oh my God, it's just insane.
It is insane.
And we are living in an insane world. But now we are all empowered to make it sane. We can all create a currency that will change the world. Whether you're a dev or not, you're going to need to find some devs, right? Obviously. Or please don't just hire some. You need to find some who believe in your mission.
That's right.
Seeing lots of currencies, White Hat Group has had to step in a couple times for currencies that just hire devs that aren't attached to the project.
No, it's got to be. Yeah.
Your heart and soul has to be in this. You're creating a community, you know? You're creating a coin that's going to represent a common industry for a community. Yeah. So, like, you need devs that believe in it. Otherwise, you shouldn't. If you can't convince, like, 4 nerds to, like, get on your team, like,
you don't have an idea.
Yeah, just get out.
I totally agree.
Save everyone some time and effort, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a problem.
So the crazy part is that when I saw what was when the really, by the way, but it was the idea really solidified for me at Camp D Central, right, at Burning Man this year, because I spoke to the biggest thinkers in the space who were all there. We were just hanging out, and I'm like, it was the first time where I realized, oh yeah, we can all, like, I'm here, I'm in it. I have an obligation, if I see something, to move that vision forward, to move the ball forward. I have a responsibility, especially because I'm seeing things that other people are not seeing. And that is what's possible right now. The platform happens to be this community. It happens to be, I deeply believe in the Ethereum community just because it's so generous and generative. And that's what I want my life to be about. I grew up, just giving you a little peek behind the scenes, I grew up with kind of shitty circumstances. I grew up on the streets of New York. My dad was a full-time gambler, and my mom was, not around. So I raised myself, and I have known the streets. I've had crazy experiences, bizarre stuff, but what that taught me is that nobody really knows who actually knows. The people who really know that they don't know. Mm-hmm. Right? Which is why we can have this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? You know some things, but there's a lot of stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And our job, if you will, our passion is to move these spaces ahead. And so when I hear people screaming, oh my God, the end of the world. Oh my God, the edge of the earth. This excites me.
Yeah,
I ain't afraid of the edge of the earth.
Hell yes, the
right?
edge of the earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is where we are. That is where we are. And that is where we are in AI.
Yeah.
When you hear major thinkers like Elon Musk going like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I'm just like, this is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Let me go to the end of the world.
Yeah.
Let me go there, man. I am not, that shit does not scare me.
No.
Not only is it exciting.
Yeah.
And
when you're playing World of Warcraft, or I never played World of Warcraft, but the old Warcraft, where they had like this black area and you try to go discover it. Like, what if you just hang out in the area that you've seen before? What a lame game. That would be horrible.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. At least that's how I like to live life. And I think that's the way to live life. It's like if you got to live life like a video game. If there's zombies outside, are you just going to hang out inside your room and just be like, no, it's safe in here. I'm going to make some top ramen. No, man. You're going to kick down the door, grab your shotgun, and start going to town because there's an adventure out there. And that's what it's like being in crypto, and I'm sure that's what it's like being in AI. It's constant zombies.
Oh my God, zombies everywhere, crazy things every day.
Yeah, a new bug, multi-sig attack.
Oh my God, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And you're just like, well, here's the adventure every single day.
Yeah, I got a lot. I got a lot of crap for after the DAO hack. I was loving life, honestly. Like it was such an adventure. It was so crazy, and there was so much hope that there was a solution. Like I firmly believed hard fork would happen and it would all work out. We would get this money from the hacker, right? And so I'm going on camera the next day, and I'm beaming, right? I have this huge smile on my face, and everyone's like, "Why is this guy smiling? The market is crap. Like everything is going to shit." It's because it was exhilarating.
Yeah.
It was the best video game ever, And yeah, my life was down, my health bar was really low. It was dangerous. Like there were problems, for sure. But, if you're just if you're back on the beach sipping your margarita, how boring is that? You know? That's not where I want to be. I want to be in the thick of it. I want to be on the forefront of an industry. And I don't know, like, you're crazy, man. Forefront of 2 industries. That's like a whole nother, that's a whole other kind of video
It's actually game. 3.
Yeah,
it's actually 3 because it's really challenging people's thinking, which is really where I'm starting.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's what it is. It is, I'm trusting you to handle the blockchain part.
Mm-hmm.
I will focus on the AI part.
Please.
Right. And then the thinking part is that's the part that really is, that's the stuff that makes the GUI experience really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because our beliefs have such a direct effect in our experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, my friend, is complete BS. Belief systems. And that's what fills our brains. Right? Belief systems, the thing that interrupts our capacity to learn is the stuff that we think we already know. The thing that prevents us, what you were saying earlier, right? The thing that prevents us from stepping outside of the box is we don't even recognize it as a box. And the challenge that I am addressing, like at the root of kind of concept and thoughts about thinking, is that you can't step into something that doesn't yet exist at all. Right? So if I said to you, for example, Rundlet, you have nothing.
Word.
Exactly.
Word.
So you just don't have the framework yet, right? So there would be a series of steps, and I could help you get there, but we have to go through those steps.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are with cryptocurrency right now, definitely where we are with AI, where you really have to help people create these frameworks to start to think about like, okay, like, we live in an abundant universe. Well, okay, yeah, that's cool, but I can't pay my rent with abundance, right? We're in this because the structure of the world is still in this kind of old paradigm of like, I keep my coconuts.
Yeah. I don't care if they're rotting. They're my coconuts.
It doesn't matter, right? And nobody is standing back yet and thinking to themselves, if I can't take my coconuts with me when I die, what exactly am I doing, right? This takes critical thinking. You have to think and say, okay, well, how many coconuts do I actually need?
Well, you don't even want to think about death. My God.
Well, exactly.
That would be it's too scary. I mean, that's too much unknown.
Yeah. And that's the challenge, right? So we have barriers to living in the unknown. And those barriers are made up of beliefs which act as the boundary that prevent us from moving outside of the box, the realm, the thinking, the structures, the relationships, the ideas. That shows up emotionally as fear. Because if I take a step that is outside of what I have been entrained into since I was an infant, right? So you and I are perfectly developed for the household, literally the household we grew up in. And then as you extend out and you go from household and then you go from to neighborhood, and so you're well trained for your neighborhood, but not necessarily for individual neighbors within the neighborhood, but for the general vibe of the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then as you stretch out, it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, this is the town I live in. You're perfectly trained for that town. And then you start to go from that town, you start to move into a city or another city. Now you're in uneven territory, and that gets scary. So when people are talking about old time values, what they're really saying is, I just want things that are just like what my mom, me, and daddy taught me about the way life is.
Yeah.
Right? That's essentially old time values.
Because that's what they're trained for.
That's what they're
right?
trained for perfectly.
And I love what you were saying before about how, it's finally clicked that how we're just AI. Like what you're saying here,
Yes.
where it's like we're trained for the neighborhood, we're trained for this house, we're trained for these
Correct.
things. Just the way AI is trained,
Correct.
I heard like some AI beat Mario or something.
Yes.
But at first he started off by like clicking buttons and just like bump, die,
That's right.
And then eventually he beats Mario. But you know what? If you hand him, Donkey Kong, he's hosed. He's not going to be able to do it.
One. That's right.
So
yeah, and that's it, right? So that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, it's a beefy concept, but that's exactly it. So if we are already structurally AI, we're each programmed perfectly for where we come from. The programmer that programs the AI is also programming essentially from that neighborhood that they're in, whatever that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, our job is what happens if you could start creating things that actually they themselves are beyond the structure of belief systems. What happens if you create something that is actually comfortable living outside of belief systems? What would that look like? So when you feel scared, instead of going like, oh my God, I don't ever want to feel that feeling again, you're like, oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
That's it's a piece of code. It's a meme. It's an idea. That's all we have as humans is we have ideas that we stitch together, and we try to, find people who have the space for us to stitch this thing.
Yeah.
Right? And instead of humiliating us, which is a lot of the world that the world came from, blame, shame, humiliation.
It's easy.
It's easy. It is very challenging to go like...
I mean, this is human's nature almost.
That's
it's
right.
like poke and destroy. It's just like, it's so much easier to just tear things down. It takes a lot more effort to build.
That's right.
And that's why I love talking with you, because I feel like we're building a conversation.
We are.
We're building ideas. I'm not trying to tear down ideas. It's not like Bitcoin Cash is horrible just because it's not Bitcoin, No, it's beautiful in its own right, just like Bitcoin is.
It is. And that you helped me with today. You helped me recognize, because again, I was caught in the mythology, the box that was called Bitcoin, and you just stripped that away and you were like, oh, well, that's a community, like Bitcoin Cash is a community. Like, and I'm like, whoa, right, because I saw everything else as community, but Bitcoin is
yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, it's just a community of people.
Yeah.
Expressing, voting with their value.
I mean, that's the cool thing with these communities. They can literally vote with their dollar. They
That's
can
right.
literally vote. Like, the Mini-Me token, it's made for voting, So all the currencies that are using that, like I believe TokenAI is working on that.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
So, I mean, you'll be able to literally vote with your TokenAI.
Yeah.
Right? And we've been saying that forever. It's like a meme. Such a good meme.
Such a good meme.
And we can make it real now.
That's right. Vote with and that is what we can do. That is where whatever the power shift is. I have one question I do want to ask you that's been, in my brain. But wherever the power shift is for us to have a vote.
Yeah.
And to be able to, I think you called it liquid democracy in a sense, right?
I love liquid democracy, yeah.
And that is it's a beautiful thing, because I think most of us have really been entrained with that our vote doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah. And honestly, I just think it's ridiculous that we have the same system of governance that we have had for 270, 200, 300 years. Like, ridiculous.
It's insane.
That was before trains existed.
Yeah.
Before trains, right? A horse and buggy, ships taking us across the ocean. We're not even talking about the internet, cars. I mean, electric cars. We have cars that are just going to be driving us around. Mm-hmm. I mean, and we're using the same thing. Like, the term limits haven't changed.
That's right.
I mean, come on. We're in a new world. We can do so much better. The internet has given us so much power. And now we have blockchain, right? Bitcoin and all these, and Ethereum. There's going to be, I really think that there are going to be so many governments and so many organizations that are going to take this new technology and be so much better off than the rest of the competition that's slow to adapt, that they're going to build the new world, right? It's just who gets in here first.
Totally agree.
It'd be like not using electricity and letting all the other people use electricity. So you got to get in. You got to start playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your question? What were you going to ask?
So my question is, here's my question, okay? And I don't have an answer to this. What is different if people's sort of AIs of their brain are programmed in the old language and they acquire, let's say, $1 billion, $100 million, $1 billion worth of value, stored value in a thing called X, what prevents them from essentially becoming their parents? That is something that I'm really...
Like, what do you mean becoming their parents?
Like they're scarce. I have 100 million coconuts. I need 110 million coconuts.
The value, actually, probably the biggest value in this space is that they've probably lost, what would be the equivalent of $1 million now by sending it to the wrong place or doing something, having this traumatic loss, which almost everyone's experienced. So many, you were in Mount Cox. Oh, God, I sure was. I lost in Mint Pal,
200 BTC.
Yeah,
just like
200 BTC. That's insane.
It's insane.
You know how much money that is right now? It's like, I don't even want to talk about it. It's millions of dollars though, okay? Mm. So, and just gone.
Just gone.
Yeah. And everyone's had that. Almost anyone who's an OG in crypto like you, they've experienced that loss one way or another. Whether it was an exchange or a wallet whose password they forgot or can't find file, deleted it. Millions of dollars sitting in all these old computers. And I think that brings humility, and it also brings this oh, well, it wasn't so bad that I lost it. I was playing Frisbee the other day with my buddy Oz, who works with me on Giveth, and we were on this road, we were hiking in San Francisco, and he kept throwing it this way towards the hill because this way there was a drop off, right? And he was over-correcting this way. And so he threw it to me once, and I said, just throw it to me, Threw it to me once, and then I just threw it down the hill. Because I was like, look, it's not that bad. I ran down the hill, grabbed the Frisbee, tossed it back to him. Don't worry about it, Right. Don't over-correct. In the programmer space, they call it pre-optimization or premature optimization or something. I don't even know what they call it. I'm a faker. I just work with the devs. They're the smart ones that have these terms. And it's like, you just have to, I feel in crypto, at least the people that are in here now, we're playing with really raw tools. Man. So many people have lost so much money. Yeah. They don't even want to talk about it. Yeah. And I think that helps people not become like their parents, who are always protecting from some fear of the unknown. Yeah. When you step into that fear and you experience it, you can realize it's not that bad. It's just a Frisbee down the hill. It's not a big deal. Go get it.
So. And, the world we live in is, let's say that Frisbee went down the hill and you can't go get it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
There's so many Frisbees.
There's so many Frisbees. There's so many other things. Yeah. So, finally, then, Yeah, I guess you know, so that's it. I think you're right. I think it's just people.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's summarize a couple big ideas here.
Okay.
Okay. So number one, what are you most excited about for the next 3 months to 6 months?
The evolution of crypto, second layer solutions being developed, and of course experimentations and things that are going to happen in this space. It's just too unpredictable.
Yeah.
And I love that adventure.
I do too, and I think that is really, so maybe if we can leave people with one thing, I think your frame is, I think the abundance frame is really understanding that if the frisbee goes down the hill, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
Okay, we could keep going to the moon, sure, of course, but there is no chance in hell that we are not going to lose 50% of our value eventually.
Eventually, absolutely, we will lose 50%, and it's just going to
Maybe we'll go up another 400%
Sure.
and then drop down, and we will never touch the spot again. Totally possible, but it's also possible that tomorrow everything's done. Everything crashes 50%.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It is okay.
It's not a big deal because none of us deserved any of this money anyway. So it's perfectly fine. You know, it's just it just shows you how weird money is anyway. And so we just gotta power through it.
Yeah, we'll power through it, and the reality is value doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
So
the value is in your mind.
The value is right, exactly.
Yeah.
And in our creativity, and that's why I'm really so optimistic. One of the reasons I'm so optimistic about this.
And keep making currencies. Like
Absolutely.
You're making TokenAI. We're working with Giveth. Like, keep making currencies. Please. Experiment.
Yeah, I agree. We're creating the future. We
Yeah.
are creating the future. So thanks, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Love you, as always. Thank you for making me think, expanding my brain.
Dude, it's been a pleasure always, man. Love you, man.
Love you
Thank
too,
you so
man.
much.
Yeah.